This is our 3-6 breathing drill. I'm going to lay Sergio on his back, feet on the ground, knees bent around 90 degrees. He's going to take his arms up like football goalposts, elbows directly in line with his shoulders. He's going to take a nice deep breath into his diaphragm. When he exhales, he's going to push into the floor and drive overhead with his arms. When he inhales, he'll fill the belly back up with air. When he exhales, he'll do his next slide. If he can, he'll breathe in his nose and out of his nose as he squeezes the air out of his diaphragm. This is our 3-6 breathing drill. This is side lying 90-90, shoulder internal rotation plus cervical cars. So we're going to get Sergio into the side lying 90-90 position. So right angle at the knee, right angle at the ankle in the front, back hip just slightly into extension with a right angle at the knee and a right angle at the ankle in the back. He's going to get into side lying position by dropping his elbow down onto the ground. He's going to take his top arm and place it into internal rotation. So he's going to take it and place it as far up his back as he can. So we're going to drive into 4 points of contact. We're going to drive into the elbow. We're going to drive both knees into the ground. And we're also going to drive the hand into the back. Sergio's going to, from here, he's going to start to do his cervical car. So under tension and under full body irradiation, he's going to start to move his neck slowly and under tension as far as he can in all ranges of motion. If something gives you pain, try to shorten up your circle a little bit, but be sure to put tension into the joint. He'll do 2 rotations in each direction on the neck before switching to the other side and repeating 2 rotations on the other side. Let's see when we take it back the other way. This is side lying 90-90 with shoulder internal rotation and cervical cars. This is Greg Cook's Bretzel 2.0. So first thing we're going to do is get Sergio into the 90-90 position. Front quad is going to come straight out. We're going to have a 90-degree angle at the hip, knee, and the ankle. The back hip is going to go into just a bit of extension, and then we're going to square off that back leg too. Right angle with the knee and a right angle with the ankle. So then he's going to take both hands about 1 foot to 1.5 feet away from his leg, and he's going to attempt to nutrate his shoulders or line his shoulders up in the same plane as that front leg. He look over the shoulder into the twist, making sure that he does not bend that outside arm. Both arms are driving straight into the ground. He's standing up nice and tall with good posture. He's going to take a 3-second inhale through his nose into his diaphragm, create some space, exhale 6 seconds as he squeezes it down and tries to turn those shoulders just a little bit more. This is Bretzel 2.0. This is tall kneeling scapular cars. We're going to start Sergio in a tall kneeling position. So he's going to walk his knees out until he gets just a bit of groin stretch. Then he'll back off 1 inch. Toes will TP into the back. We're going to drive the toes into the ground, flex the glutes, and make ourselves as tall as possible at all times. It's very important to maintain this position throughout the movement. It's also important to keep full irradiation. So every muscle in the body is going to be tense. He's going to raise his arms up just above 90 degrees. Again, fists, hands make fists to create even more irradiation. First thing he's going to do is elevate his shoulders up into his ears. He's going to push them straight back and then down into his back pocket and then punch forward. Elevate into his ears, take them straight back, drop them down into his pockets, and punch them forward. Then he's going to reverse his motion, pulling them back, elevating them into the ears, watching that the elbows don't bend, push forward, down, back, up, and forward. That is tall kneeling scapular cars. This is combat pose plus lean and shoulder cars. So Sergio is going to bring his ankle in towards his body so that he's getting a nice calf stretch. Then he's going to lean out over that leg and he's going to hug it. The entire time we do this stretch, he's going to squeeze into that leg and every muscle in his body will be tight. Tight quads, tight calves, tight butt, every muscle. Arm is perfectly straight, he's making a fist and he's squeezing into that fist. Leaning his weight out over top of his other leg, he's going to take a deep breath into his diaphragm, He's going to exhale and raise that arm as high as he can. When he's raised that arm as high as he can, he's going to freeze. He's going to internally rotate his hand as far as he can. Once he's internally rotated as far as he can, he's going to continue to internally rotate that arm as he goes back through his full range of motion. We want to put tension into the joint, so always think like you're moving your arm through thick air. So it's not just a weight of air, but it's something that causes you to put just a little bit of tension. Once he gets the whole way around, he's going to shove his hand straight back. He's going to freeze, full external rotation now as far as he can. And then as he continues his rotation, he's going to continue to rotate that arm and try to keep his hand as close to his body as he can as he does that rotation. And just one more repetition. He's going to inhale, exhale. Again, raising the arm as high as he can. When he gets to the top, he'll freeze, full internal rotation. And he's going to continue to internally rotate that arm as he brings it around. A good tip is you'll know that you've done it right if when you get the whole way around into this position, your palm is facing outward. He'll come back up as far as he can. He'll freeze. He'll externally rotate as far as he can. And then continue to cut down that angle and keep that hand as close to the body as he can as he brings it around. This is combat pose with lean plus shoulder cars. This is straddle position with T-spine cars. So Sergio's going to start in a nice straddle position. So he's going to get his legs as far out to the sides as he can. Toes pointed straight up at the ceiling and heels driving into the ground. He's going to come into full forward flexion. Awesome. Chin goes down into the chest, arms cross over. First thing he's going to rotate to his right as far as he can. He's going to laterally flex to the right. Now keeping that lumbar flexion, he's going to extend through the T-spine. This can be a little bit tricky. He's going to laterally flex to the left. He's going to rotate to the left and then pull through the middle. We'll do that again on this side. Rotate right, laterally flex to the right, keeping lumbar flexion. We'll extend through the T-spine, laterally flex to the left, rotate left, pull through to the middle. From here, he'll reverse his motion. He's going to rotate to the left, laterally flex to the left, extend to the rear. Awesome. Going to laterally flex to the right, extend to the right, pull through to the middle. And one more time. Rotate to the left, laterally flex to the left, extend to the rear, laterally flex to the right, rotate right, and pull through to center. Straddle position with T-spine cars. This is supine hip cars. We're going to start laying flat on the ground. It's important to irradiate so every muscle in your body will have tension. Actually drive the hands and heels into the ground. It's important that you keep both butt cheeks flexed and both butt cheeks on the ground. When you move the right leg, it's very common for that left cheek to want to come off the ground. We're going to only take the hip where we can take it and keeping that butt cheek on the ground. So driving into the ground, Sergio is going to start by bringing his right leg up into flexion as far as he can. He'll open that knee straight out to the side. He's going to extend the leg and then complete his circle. He'll do one more time, coming up fully into flexion, opening that hip up to the side. When it doesn't move anymore, he's going to extend it and bring it back into flexion. Now we'll reverse our motion. So he's going to straighten out the leg. He's going to take that foot straight out to the side. Remember to keep that butt cheek on the ground and come up into flexion and extend. So we want to move the hip under some tension. So pretend like you're a rusty toy and it takes just a little bit of effort to move that hip. Make sure that we don't speed through the sticky spots. Extend that foot. That is supine hip cars. This is world's greatest stretch. So Sergio is going to set up in a push-up position. So hands directly underneath his shoulders. First thing he's going to do is take his right foot and step up next to his right hand. Then he's going to fully flex that back ankle. So dorsiflex that back ankle. He's going to straighten that left leg and squeeze the left glute. His right hand will come up and sit on his knee. He's going to make a fist. and he's going to punch that fist into his opposite armpit and try to lay one forearm on top of the other. As he rotates, then he'll go ahead and change direction and reach for the ceiling, plant the hand back down, and step back. If you could turn towards me, Serge, so we can just do one forward facing so they can see that again. And we're going to start on the left side this time. So he's going to step up, left foot next to left hand, straighten that back leg, fully dorsiflex the ankle, make a fist, punch that fist up into his armpit as he attempts to lay one forearm on top of the other. He's going to reverse his motion and reach for the sky. This is world's greatest stretch. This is supine glute bridge. Sergio is going to start lying on his back with his heels directly in line with his hips. He'll drag the heels close to the body, as close as he can get them, and then he'll back them off just about an inch. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect our TVA. So he's going to take his 2 hip points, and what I want him to think about is pulling those hip points together. We're going to keep that contraction in our abdominals the entire time we do this exercise. What's very important is that we extend from the hips and not from the back. So one good way to tell that is if your back lands in a different position, maybe with more arc, we show that, or less arc, then you know that you've changed something. So what I'd like him to do now is pick his toes up off the ground and drive through the heels and extend the hip. We're going to connect that to the breath, 3-second in, 6-second exhale. 3-second inhale to reset. 6-second exhale. And as he's exhaling, he's squeezing the air out of his diaphragm and squeezing his butt cheeks. Supine glute bridge. This is quadruped hydrants. Sergio is going to start in quadruped position, which is his hands directly underneath his shoulders, his knees directly underneath his hips, and his toes curled underneath, loaded into the ground. What I'd like him to do is to drive into both hands. He's going to grip the ground and twist down in. He's going to create core tension by really cinching up his abdominal wall. Then what we're going to do is we're going to raise one knee out to the side as high as it will go without moving his hips. So the trick here is imagine that you have a bowl of water sitting on kind of on your tailbone, and you don't want to spill that water, so I don't want to elevate the hips. Come on back down. Show me one bad one, please. Just go ahead and tilt. See how he just hiked the hip and he just turned his bum? So again, he's creating a lot of tension with the ground. Anything that's not moving is gripping, twisting, or driving into the ground as he extends that knee straight out to the side. Quadruped hydrants. This is toe touch squat to stretch. So Sergio's going to set up with his heels directly underneath his hips and his toes turned out somewhere around 30 degrees, wherever's comfortable for you. He's going to straight legs and bend down and hook his hands underneath his toes, and he's going to pull up. As he pulls up, he's going to crank his butt down into the ground, and then he'll reverse his motion. What's very important to note is that his knees will drive outside of his arms. We never want the knees to go inside the arms. As he pulls his butt down, head comes up. As he takes his head down, his butt goes up as he gets that nice stretch through his posterior chain. Toe touch, squat to stretch. This is our toes elevated hip hinge with dowel. So we're going to take a dowel rod and Sergio is going to place it up his back. One hand will go at the small of his back, the other one will go at the nape of his neck. The stick is going to make contact with the back of his head, his upper back, and his butt. It's very important throughout this motion that we keep that stick in contact with all 3 points. He's going to elevate his toes up onto our 2x6. If you don't have a 2x6 at home, you can use whatever you have. He's going to put about a 20-degree bend in his knees and shove his hips straight back towards the back wall. Notice how his shins stay pretty vertical throughout this motion. It's very easy to know if you've done something wrong because you'll feel the stick lose contact, either with the butt, if you flex the lumbar spine, the head, if you flex the cervical spine. So it's very important we want to keep that stick in contact with all 3 points the entire time through this motion. As he comes back up, he'll squeeze his glutes and brace his core. This is toes elevated hip hinge with dowel.